right, we're live. Thanks for joining the stream. I just wanted to give another example because this is one of those, this is a crazy example. You've heard of the long arm of the law. Well, this is a San Mateo County sheriff in California sending 4 agents, a lieutenant, a sergeant, and 2 deputies to Indiana to, raid this Batmobile maker's garage because a friend of the sheriff contacted him and said, hey, I think I'm getting ripped off, which he wasn't getting ripped off. He just didn't live up to the terms of the contract. But it was clearly a civil matter, and the sheriff conducted a criminal investigation all the way across the country. It was like 2,200 miles from California to Indiana. And I just wanted to go over this news report with you. ABC7 from the News Bay Area actually did a really good job on it. We're going to watch some of this. We're going to make some comments. I'm going to be poking my nose here because none of us is greater than all of us. So I'm going to be poking my nose over here in the comments that you guys are bringing up in the chat room. I appreciate you being here. Let's go ahead and get started with this.
It's quite a story here. It turns out one of the sheriff's friends ordered a Batmobile and wasn't happy with how long it was taking to deliver. The I-Team's Dan Noyes is here with a story that you'll see only on 7.
Well, Dan, your public money paid for the trip last week by the sheriff's investigators. 4 round-trip plane tickets, 3 nights of hotels, meals, rental cars, and a lot of overtime.
And they don't have a problem with this. This is another example of economic terrorism where a sheriff or some official, in this case, it's a sheriff, so he's an elected official. It's not like a police department chief. But this sheriff decides to allocate resources from his community to send these 4 agents across the country and just pay for everything. Thanks, Sheriff.
All because of a friend of the sheriff can't wait for his Batmobile.
Real estate is a lot like surfing.
Sam Anagnostio is a real estate agent who lives in Atherton.
And suddenly, the perfect wave shows right up in front of you. You got to be ready to catch it.
This profile video he posted online shows Anagnostio likes expensive toys. He ordered a $210,000 Batmobile from the only builder licensed by DC Comics, Fiberglass Freaks of Logan.
Gotta admit, guys, I gotta pause right here. Gotta admit, it would be pretty cool to own something like that.
Port, Indiana.
You've wanted one since you were a kid, and now you can have your very own replica of the Batmobile.
Complete with roll-top dashboard, flashing beacon light, detectoscope,
and even a working flamethrower.
Who wants one? Who wants one? We're giving one away in the next live stream. Just kidding.
Owner
I want a
Mark Raycup
flamethrower.
has 9 Batmobiles in production. He tells me Anagnostio was first in line and he paid $170,000, but then missed a $20,000 payment.
And he disappeared on me for over 8 months, almost.
So there's the face of your victim right here. This guy has an honest business in the state of Indiana. He makes Batmobiles for eccentric people who want these high-dollar cars. He's got this contract all written up. He's got a waiting list because there's a lot of millionaire and billionaires who want a car like this so that they can, drive down the road with them. So he's got this honest business going on, 2,200 miles from San Mateo County. But one of his customers, this Ignacio guy, decides, hey, I'm an important dude, and he starts missing his payments. Well, part of the agreement was that you have to keep up on your payments. If you don't keep up on your payments, then your slot, your position, your number 1 position to get the next Batmobile goes down to 2, 3, 4. In this case, it goes down to number 9. So this is the victim right here. This is the victim of police corruption again.
9 months.
Raycup moved Anagnostio to the bottom of the list. He'd have to wait a year and a half or 2 for his Batmobile.
He didn't like that. He exploded. He did pay off the entire car at that point.
And I could just see why he paid off. He's like, I'm a billionaire. I'll go ahead and pay off the entire car. So because I paid it off, take me from the 9th position back up to the pole position so I can be the next one to get my Batmobile. But I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. We don't do favors for billionaires. If you lose your spot, you lose your spot.
But he was absolutely livid to find out that his car was going to be delayed.
Anagnostio filed a complaint with Atherton Police, but last September, the San Mateo County District Attorney declined to bring criminal charges at this time, according to this letter to the Batmobile builder. Anagnostio also filed a lawsuit in San Mateo County Superior Court alleging breach of contract and fraud But this past March, a judge dismissed the case, saying Indiana is the proper venue.
Of course it is. I'm glad some people in the, Attorney General's office are actually thinking properly about this. It's like, why are you filing a civil lawsuit in the San Mateo County Courthouse when this should be done in Indiana? What's up with you guys?
Then, sources inside the San Mateo County Sheriff's Department tell me the realtor asked his Facebook friend, Sheriff Carlos Bolanos, to
There
intervene.
you go.
He sent a lieutenant, sergeant, and 2 deputies to Indiana.
Hey, I know a couple guys with guns who will really strong-arm this Batmobile maker and make him give me my car.
They raided Fiberglass Freaks last week, July 19th.
Then they showed the warrant saying that they were here to seize anything to do with his car. So I thought, oh, they're coming in to pick up his car, which is right behind me, by the way. So I thought I was going to have to move my other Batmobiles out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. James Barnes says in the chat room, filed a false complaint about the problem that he caused. It sounds like government, doesn't it? They create the problem, wait for some kind of reaction, and then step in to provide a solution. In this case, the solution was, hey, let's send 4 guys on taxpayer dollars to go 2,200 miles to harass this guy. Good idea.
Able to let them take this car.
But investigators took only 2 files of documents, according to the search warrant return. Rakup says they read his Miranda rights, brought him to the local jail for an hour, but let...
The San Mateo County agents brought this victim to an Indiana jail. What the heck?
him go. He only later found out they got a warrant for his Gmail, contacts, and photos, that they froze his bank account and charged him in California with 2 felonies, obtaining money by false
Guys, if that's not economic terrorism, I don't know what is. Freezing your bank accounts.
pretenses and diversion of construction funds.
I was horrified. I've never gone through anything like this ever before in my life. I am on the side of good. I as a Batman fan since I was 2 years old, this was a completely opposite side. I loved 66 Batman, and Batman always stood with the law.
Batman stood with the law. Well, I would call that a character flaw. Fix it, DC Comics.
I interviewed the San Mateo County Deputy District Attorney prosecuting this case.
You wrote a letter to Rakup in September of last year saying that there would be no...
By the way, let me just as an aside, although we're not getting too far into the weeds when I say, when you look at DC and Marvel Comics, the good guys are the ones on the side of the government. They're on the side of the law. When you saw that Superman movie, I can't remember what the name of it was. Well, not the one with Christopher Reeves, but the other one with Cavill. Superman is on the side of the government. He's on the side of the military-industrial complex. I think all this is psychological operations. Batman is on the side of the law. He's on the side of Gotham City Police and all that kind of stuff. The police are clearly, they've clearly drawn the line. They are against you. You're their enemy. You're not part of their thin blue line cult following, so you don't get the preferential treatment. And yeah, they exercise discretion on who they will. Usually the people they exercise discretion on are their own thin blue line gang members, not on you. So when you see these comic book characters, whether it's Marvel or DC, on the side of the law, you can already know that they're on the side of the criminal cartel, who's against the people, while they say that they're for the people. There's a double psychological operation for you.
criminal charges. What changed?
Additional investigation. The detectives were able to obtain search warrants and obtain additional evidence.
Marie McLaughlin would not discuss that additional evidence or the sheriff's unusual...
Maybe because there is none. Why wouldn't she discuss it? I mean, it seemed like if there was evidence, she would be, well, we can't discuss it because the case is pending. We're under investigation right now, and we're really not at liberty to say what's going on. Oh, in other words, we don't have anything for you. We have no ground to stand on.
Usual step of sending 4 investigators across the country for what Rakup argues is a simple business dispute.
After the case went nowhere with the first criminal case, the civil case, is the sheriff stepping in for a friend here?
I can't speak to that. I have no knowledge about
but it sure looks like it,
if any, the sheriff has with the victim.
I wanted to talk to Sheriff Bolanos about Sam Edignastio and about the use of public funds. 4 round-trip airline tickets, hotels for 3 nights, meals, overtime. He didn't return my repeated calls and texts to his personal cell phone. His office confirmed he's away on a month of vacation. He leaves office in January after losing the election.
How convenient. Hey, Sheriff, we want to talk to you about this crazy thing that you did on tax cattle dime. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll be out of the office for the next month. Licking my wounds, trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of this mess right here.
The undersheriff now in charge, Mark Robbins, and the department's spokesman, Lieutenant Eamon Allen, refused my request for an interview, citing the ongoing investigation.
I just can't.
We got to cover our buddy. We got to cover his indiscretions, because that's what the Fraternal Order of Police Thin Blue Line gang does for each other.
To imagine why it's in criminal court. It shocks me that it's in criminal court.
I ran the case by Tony Brass, former prosecutor for San Francisco and the U.S. Attorney's Office. He says the squabble over a luxury item, the Batmobile, belongs in Indiana civil court, with no involvement by the San Mateo County Sheriff's Department.
It simply defies reason, in my view, why so many people, Wait
a second. Law enforcement activities define. Video right here has 4.3 million views plus however many viewers it got in San Mateo. It's no longer private, Sam. Now it's completely out in the public. Maybe you want to deal with this, kind of to save your reputation a little bit.
Investigating this story, I learned something more about Mark Raycup. He's a minister.
Good evening.
I watched his church sermon this past Sunday online.
It's the only thing that helps me through this, Dan. I should expect trials and tribulations. It's just part of being a Christian. And as a preacher, this is an attempt to besmirch my reputation.
I reached the lawyer for Sam Adagnostio. He also didn't want to go on camera, but said his client is returning from Greece in a few days, and both of them will sit down for an interview. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. That's not going to happen. So they did a follow-up. Here's the follow-up to that. And just in case, because I didn't want to leave you guys hanging on this live stream. Here's the follow-up.
Holy breaking news, Batman. Yes, in the criminal case involving a replica of the Batmobile from that 1960s TV show. The San Mateo County District Attorney has called off the arraignment for the Batmobile builder from Indiana, who's facing 2 criminal charges in a dispute with a wealthy realtor from Atherton. Good evening, I'm Amma Dates.
And I'm Dan Ashley. Thanks for joining us. DA Steve Wagstaff is taking that action after watching the first 2 I-Team investigations on this case. And our Dan Noyes is back with this new important development, Dan.
Well, Dan and Amma, in our exclusive interview, Wagstaff told me he wants to personally review the case, hear once again from both the Batmobile builder and the buyer, and decide if the case should actually be dismissed.
San Mateo County District Attorney Steve Wagstaff is canceling the August 19th hearing for Mark Raycup, a minister and owner of a garage in Indiana that builds replica Batmobiles.
And I said, hey, what about this, this, and this? I want some more detail before we make a final decision on whether this case will go forward or not.
That's a change, though, huh?
That's a change in the sense that otherwise it was just going to be an arraignment on the 19th of August.
Oh, I thought that was a Freemason thing that I saw on his wall. There's probably plenty of Freemason stuff all around this guy's office.
What spurred that second look?
You, candidly.
Wagstaff saw.
Okay, so that's another reason why I want to do this video. Constantly, I mean, I think independent journalists do it way better because they have no strings attached way better than fake stream media, because fake stream media is beholden to the corporate oligarchs. You know, they put out the story and they package the things and they sell it to the masses the way they want it. Independent journalists, for the most part, I'm not saying there aren't dishonest independent journalists out there, but when you go out there with your camera and you record things that mainstream media cut out or edited, that says a lot. And so with this is basically investigative journalism. And the reason this guy's mind was swayed was because of the investigative journalism of this ABC7 News Bay area, as one example of how real journalists actually do it. What's the purpose of journalism? It's basically, you know, you've heard the cliche, speak truth to power. It's just basically to speak the truth, to journal, to write down what you saw, to record what you saw. That's why it's so important to go out on the street with your video camera, and everybody's got one, and record the police. And that's why places like the state of Oklahoma, where I'm at right now, want to make recording the police illegal because they don't want their dark deeds to be viewed by tons of people. What does that say about, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, a governor who signs into law, yeah, if you record the police in the regular course of their duties, then we're going to make that illegal. What does that say? Because wouldn't you want, as a police, if you're a police officer doing everything above board and you really thought you were doing the right thing, wouldn't you want as many cameras on you as possible so that people could see your good deeds? I mean, what are we left to conclude when the police officer and, people who are backing the cops don't want you recording while they're doing their jobs? What are they hiding? Don't you want as many cameras on the street so that you can say, hey, look how I'm treating this individual right here. I'm treating this person with humility, with respect. I'm not economically terrorizing them. I'm not acting as a road pirate. I'm not trampling their rights. Look at this. I want everybody to see this. But no, that's not what they do. They want to hide in the darkness. They want to do their evil deeds in darkness without being recorded. And even when they do record it on their own body cams, and the public makes a FOIA request for that body cam footage, it takes months. It takes years. When you finally get it, it's redacted. There are things cut out. They edit it to make the cops look as good as possible and to hide the truth. That's what I love about cameras. It does not lie. Can you edit it to where it looks like it's something it's not? Yeah, but just raw footage does not lie. Could you take something out of context and it seems like something is a certain way when it's really not? Yeah, of course, but it still doesn't lie. It records everything. It's not going to interject any kind of opinions. It's not going to throw in some kind of agenda or weave some kind of narrative to make it look better or whatever. It's just the recording. That's why I love that chick that from Loveland, Colorado, that Jalali, and I can't remember that was the female. I can't remember what the male cop's name was, but what they did to Karen Garner. It doesn't lie. The recording doesn't lie. And they didn't even hide it. They didn't even hide the fact that they foisted criminal activity on this 73-year-old woman with dementia and manhandled her. She has a broken arm. When they threw her into the prison, they knew she was, in dire straits and in need of some kind of medical attention, but they left her in there as right outside the door, the two cops and then another cop came along making fun of the whole process. Yeah, and I told her if she didn't do this, I'd take her down to the ground. And he did. Oh, big man. Good job, Loveland Police Department. So no, they don't want to be recorded. They don't want you to see what they're doing because they know deep in their hearts that they're really not doing what is right.
Change in the sense that otherwise it was just going to be an arraignment on the 19th of August.
What spurred that second look?
You, candidly.
There you go.
Our I-team investigations
the power of journalism.
The past week, questioning why San Mateo County Sheriff Carlos Bolanos sent 4 investigators more than 2,200 miles to Logansport, Indiana, to raid Ray Cupp's garage. What role did your office play in the planning or the approval of the raid?
Zero.
You didn't know that they were going to be sending a team to Indiana?
No, not at all.
Wagstaff tells me his staff did approve the search and arrest warrants prepared by the sheriff's investigators, but that in his 45 years in the DA's office, he has never seen a raid like this by the sheriff's department in another state for a nonviolent theft case.
I've never heard of this. This is why I wanted to bring it to you. Has anybody, let's see, how many people we got in the room right now? I'm not really sure. And by the way, if you are in the room, hit that like button right now. Please do it right now because it helps with the algorithms. But has anybody ever seen a case like this? I'm not talking about with the Batmobile. I'm talking about with the sheriff's department or some kind of police department who actually sent agents across the country to serve a warrant on somebody in another state. Has anybody ever heard that? I haven't seen this before. This is kind of unique.
The person they wanted to go arrest was the Godfather in New York City. Maybe you go with a few more people, but not in the average one. It's not something that I've seen.
Sources inside the sheriff's department tell me that this was the sheriff doing a favor for a friend. What do you think about that? What's your take? What's your reaction?
I hope not. I hope not.
Sheriff
but what if it was?
Remains on his month-long vacation, and his office now says he can't talk to me because he's concentrating on giving answers to the Board of Supervisors about the Batmobile raid.
I can't talk to you because I'm concentrating, says this sheriff. Listen to this again. I can't talk to you. I'm concentrating.
Vacation, and his office now says he can't talk to me because he's concentrating on giving answers to the Board of Supervisors about the Batmobile raid. I actually had an interview with Sam Adegnostio scheduled for the ABC 7 studios at 3 p.m. Wednesday, but he bowed out a short time before.
His lawyer, Majid Samara, was really insistent. He was like, Sam wants to clear his name. He has to do this interview. We have to do it now.
Now Samara says he's concerned about discussing evidence in an ongoing criminal matter.
Because he read the file. He read the file and he's like, wow, Sam's way out on a limb right here. I don't want to make my law firm look bad. And if I take this case and then it goes viral and it's like we could lose a whole lot of business, yeah, we probably better not sit down and do an interview while the cameras are rolling.
And in some cases, threatening texts and phone calls. He shared a few. Yesterday, I spotted an Atherton police car stationed in front of his Tuscan-style home. I also discovered what a car enthusiast Sam Adegnostio is. From the public file...
This guy is so in with the thin blue line, it's not even funny. I mean, think about it. Think about what this guy did, this San Mateo County Sheriff. He put his... he was an outgoing sheriff. He only had a month left or whatever before the incoming sheriff came in because he didn't get elected that year. But he basically put his reputation on the line, spending money that wasn't his so that he could go serve a warrant on somebody when it was clearly a civil matter, not a criminal matter. And then brings it back to the courthouse in San Mateo. That's how out to lunch this guy was. And this is another example of there's not one good cop there, not the lieutenant, not the sergeant, not the two deputies, because nobody stopped to say, wait a second, this sounds like, because even to you and I who are lay people who don't really have this insider understanding of what's going on, we can clearly see this is not a criminal matter. This is a civil matter. Why are we taking flights across the country, taking flights back, meals, hotel accommodations, and all that kind of stuff, so we can apprehend somebody for some civil matter, clearly a civil matter? Another example of cops not thinking out of the box, just following orders. Maybe they're going, hey, I get a 4-day vacation going to Indiana. Well, I don't know what's in Indiana, but I get a free flight, I get free food, and I get free hotel accommodations. Maybe they throw hookers into that. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. Oh, and there was tons of overtime. So it's money, money, money. Follow the money. People will literally not just trample over their principles, if they had any to begin with. They'll crumple them up and just throw them into the fire. They don't care about doing the right thing because, hey, you dangle the carrot, you make the carrot big enough, they're going to reach out and grab it. Another example of no good cops on this case right here.
2020 divorce. In the final agreement, he gets to keep his Ford F-150, his 96 VW bus, 71 Toyota, 2006 Lamborghini, 2008 Bentley GT, electric golf cart, 2 boats, 2 jet skis, 4 motorcycles, a Vespa, and Batmobile. After Adegnostio paid $170,000 toward his replica, Mark Rakup says he couldn't get in touch with him for more than 8 months and that the realtor missed a $20,000 payment, so Rakup moved him from first position to the 9th customer in line.
He did pay off the entire car at that point, but he was absolutely livid to find out that his car was going to be delayed.
If that is, because I watched Mr. Rakup's interview by you, and if that ultimately is the scenario, it's a civil case. It's that simple. That's a civil case.
Wow, what a relief. This has been a 2-week nightmare.
Today, I spoke to Mark Rakup again to hear his reaction to his arraignment getting canceled.
Yeah, let me go to the chat room real quick. Constitutional Auditor brings up a good point that I should have brought up. It sets a precedent. This is another example where it does set a precedent for cops to cross state lines anytime they want, get a warrant, because a judge has to release that warrant. A judge has to approve that warrant, and he did. And Constitutional Auditor made a good point. That's what you should be freaking out about. This is what the concern is here. That they can actually go beyond what they call jurisdiction, go beyond, way beyond that jurisdiction. Talk about the long and strong arm of the law. We're going to get you, man. Indiana, I don't care if it's from the most western point in California to the most eastern point in Maine. We're going to come and get you. Wow. I mean, it's good that the rest of the legal system, the judicial system in San Mateo said, hey, this isn't even something we should be dealing with in our courtroom. This is something for the Indiana courtroom, and it's not a criminal matter, it's a civil matter. But yeah, that is a consideration.
If you had a chance...
Yeah, Brian Klein says this could be a test. This could be a test to see, hey, how far can we push this? Is anybody going to resist it? Is anybody going to say anything against it? Are we going to have a whole bunch of people defending this?
Right now to say something to Sam Agognastio, what would you tell him?
If you want your car, you have to stop doing these things because they're only slowing down and delaying your car. And I want to finish your car. That's what I do. I fulfill.
That's a good point. It's like, hey, you're 9th on the list, but now you're going to drag me through a legal battle. You think you're going to get your car in a year and a half to 2 years? Keep this up. You ain't going to get it for 5 years, maybe even 10 years. It's slowing me down, Sam.
Dreams. I've never not fulfilled the dream of making sure that somebody gets their Batmobile, and it'll be worth it. I promise.
Late today, Sam Agognastio's attorney sent a statement that insists the realtor is a victim of fraud and that he paid in full for his Batmobile but didn't get it. He says Agognastio asked for a refund, but that Ray Kupp answered he no longer has that $210,000. Now, meanwhile, Ray Kupp's bank account is still frozen, but at least
his bank account is still, listen to what he says, it's still frozen, but
he's not worrying about a trip to California coming up in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, of course he's not worrying about a trip to California now, but his bank account is frozen? I mean, where's the justice in that? If it's clearly a civil matter, why would they continue to leave that? Because the bank account was frozen under that warrant. The warrant, which was clearly illegal, if you want to use their terms. There's no wrong has been proven to have been done by the Batmobile maker toward this Sam dude. But his bank account is still frozen. That's economic terrorism, no matter how you look at it. That's the result of road piracy. This sheriff from San Mateo County was more than willing to spend taxpayer dollars to go halfway across, almost all the way across the country, from California to Indiana, to serve a warrant on somebody who is, in my opinion, innocent. Yeah, it's a civil forfeiture, says Brian. Yeah, same result. Same result. Like the Canadian trucker, says Seth. Hidden contract with the banks is the contract with the Treasury. Does anybody, well, you know what? I'll probably deal with this with another live stream, but I appreciate you guys joining. If you haven't done so already, there's 174 likes. Let's see if in the next 2 minutes or 1 minute we can get 200 likes. If you like this content, give it a thumbs up, because thumbs up really helps propel channels like this in the algorithm. When this video gets done rendering, please share this with everybody you know, because this is an example of the long arm of the law having no problem with wreaking economic terrorism on people who, you know, for all intents and purposes, at least even appear to be innocent. Just another example. So I appreciate you guys hitting the like button and sharing this video with everybody you know. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and grab one of these hard-hitting conversation starting designs. It really helps with the channel. I will speak to you guys in the next heavily censored Shadowban live stream. Take care.